They are barrier breakers, record setters, some of the best athletes to come out of Hamilton, Ohio. It's Payton, Willie, and Mike, the Townsend brothers. Welcome to Lamps Lab. Like I was just saying, very honored to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, great to be here.
I want to start way back in Brundage, Alabama, and tell me about, being born there and kind of the early parts of your lives before you moved up here to Hamilton. Anybody want to jump in? Maybe Payton, let's start with you.
It was a one-time thing. I was young, still young. I think Mike was born. He was born, but it wasn't much. My dad was working uptown. We lived about maybe a mile from town, and that's all most I remember. I remember one time Willie had took me up to his work. Well, I had cut my heel, part of the heel off. He took me to work and he rushed me to the hospital then. And ain't too many years after that, we had moved to Hamilton. And it was a job to get there because it was just us three and my mother, my sister, and I think my uncle was with us in one car, driving from Alabama to Hamilton. I remember that part of it. My uncle, he's my dad's brother, and Roosevelt, and we all stayed in one house. And so all of them got a job. My mother got a job, my uncle got a job, my dad got a job. That's where it all really started from, right there.
Nice.
And Willie, anything else y'all can remember?
Hey, I took my daughter by the old house about 3 years ago. Like then in Brundage, I had come out to visit my son who just moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where I live now. And I was living back then in California. And so I'd driven across country to see him, and then picked up my daughter who was out here, and we drove back, and I took her through Brundage by the old house, by the railroad tracks and all that stuff. She was somewhat taken back, but yeah, that's the way it is. You learned a little bit about the history of your family, and it's nice. She took it all in the right way, and Brundage, and I remember days in the old house and next to the railroad tracks and the outside plumbing and baths once a week, and and sharing clothes and going to church on Sunday. I remember all those things, and having toys that we had to make and play with, and sharing times. Had one bike that we broke eventually. Used to jump over hills and stuff and jump off buildings and things, so life was good. We didn't know how good we had it until later on, but life was good in Alabama. The things were bad. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, you had your people that didn't agree with us, and that wanted to keep us separate because there was a railroad track down the middle of town, and it kept the whites on one side and the blacks on the other side. That's how it was.
Right.
Yeah, I'll tell my side. We came up here through, my father had a Mercury, and I rode in the footboard of the car because I was that small. And I was, that's my biggest memory of us coming up this way. But prior to, I was able to go back with my uncle back to Brundage to see my grandfather, and got to see the house that we lived in and things of that nature. But found out a lot of history because a lot of the kids down there were our cousins. And I remember walking around from the old house to with my uncle to visit one of our cousins and we was walking. I think I was 10, maybe 10 or 11. And we was walking, kept walking. It was about a quarter of a mile from the old house. And then we made a turn on the corner, and there was a house on the corner with a big, huge maple tree. And there must have been 15 to 20 kids in there. And they all said hi to me. And the reason they all said hi, because every one of them was my cousins.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe that. But I said, oh my, this is amazing. And being able to share that. But it was fantastic. I was so young. When I was a baby, we had a dog. The dog name was Pluto. And Pluto was my guardian, actual guardian. My mother could put me outside and then just let me be outside. And Pluto would guard me from being able to get in trouble. I mean, he would cut me off. If I get up and try to walk away, he grabbed my arm or something and pulled me back to the house. But I remember Pluto from those days in Brundage. Now, my grandfather, now talking about an entrepreneur, he owned 6 houses on the same street that we lived on.
Mm-hmm.
He also owned a store.
Yep.
My grandfather was, in those times, you got to say, in the late 50s and early 50s, he was a big-time entrepreneur. And I have to bring that out and learned that later on. But he was renting all the houses along our street almost. Just about everybody on our street was renting from my grandfather.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then we came to Hamilton, Ohio.
Yeah, he had a sawmill that he used to cut wood and take it to different people's houses where they can have fires in their fireplaces. So it was really cool. I remember riding in the truck, and I lost my hat one time. My mother told me not to go. My father told me not to ride on the truck. I lost my hat on the truck, and but I like going with him because we would go to different people's houses, black and white, and unload wood for their fireplaces.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, when you guys came up to Hamilton, what part of town, where'd you live at, and what sort of things did you kind of do as kids, before you got into like middle school?
We moved to Carver's Place. I think that was the name of it back then,
That's
which
it.
was over by Harrison Elementary. Is that right?
Right,
Is that right, brothers?
Yeah.
And we lived over there, and we started school. And I remember repeating first grade because we talked really slow and we had that southern drawl, and it wasn't recognized up north as having the proper education as of yet. And so, we I had already had some schooling when we were in the South. Peyton and I had already been in school, but then when we came north, that was one of the first things that I recognized, that they wanted us to repeat a grade so that we could get caught up to what the current situation was in schooling in Ohio. There wasn't bad. I mean, I learned a lot, and it was okay.
Being fairly close in age, all three of you, what was the competitiveness like growing up and playing sports and probably competing in everything when you were coming up? What was that like? Peyton, what do you say about that?
It was different than what we used to be in because it was rough for me. For high school wasn't too bad, but got into college that was real bad. Come from up north and coming back down to Louisiana is a big difference, and especially in college. Because I remember quite a few, my freshman year was rough because I went to one school, North Louisiana. And we go out there on the floor, and they be throwing pennies and quarters and everything with us on the floor. There wasn't but 3 blacks on the team. And our first game was there, and the game was ended up with 13-11. That was the score was. That's how bad. They had no, there was no time limit for on time. So you could play 20 minutes the first half and 20 minutes the second half. That was it. And it's a lot of difference between now and then, and especially high school. High school, it wasn't as bad. We had one bad time at Hamilton, and I think it was at Taft. I think it was at Taft, Willie. My dad got mad because they had a sign up there, take all the Townsend brothers, all the Townsend.
Sorry, that's my clock.
Sorry. I was like, whoa.
Like, we get a spiritual move there going on.
Yeah, I'll fix that, Dave. No problem. I'll fix that. Yeah. Competition in Hamilton. Yeah, we played. We played some baseball, mostly basketball and football. And, we moved from Carver Place to a place on 8th Street right up in front of Jefferson Elementary School. Mm-hmm. And when we were there, they had a basketball court in the back that we played basketball, and we could run full court with the kids in the neighborhood. We had grass. They had grass in the front of the school. That's where we played football. And in the far back of the school in the back was we played baseball. We played fast pitch baseball, and then we would also play tennis ball, play with a broom handle. We play strikeout against the wall, so we were always competing, always worked against playing against my older brother, and Michael didn't start out, but he eventually came on, and we started playing with him, and we would play with the kids in the neighborhood. And usually as competition happened in the neighborhood, we all ended up on the same basketball team, so it was fun time. And then we would, I can remember going up to Middletown and playing against some of the guys from Middletown. And we used to go up and do that on a Sunday with some of the players. And it was fun. It was enjoyable. Things in Hamilton, as I'm sure that my brothers remember, there were some things, the Ku Klux Klan was there, and they kept things in an uproar and the disturbance, things on down in the ward, down on Front Street, and then at the courtyard, they would have rallies and stuff, just basically just trying to instigate and create problems. And but it didn't keep us from playing the sports and competing with each other and playing sports against each other. Taft, which was the running high school that we all at Garfield competed against, I played basketball, I played football, I ran track, I played a little baseball in junior high school, and didn't play in high school. I'm sorry, I loved the game, but I couldn't. I couldn't stay awake. It kind of kept me off guard. I was bored. But I love playing the game. I still do. But it's just different for me. Hamilton was competitive against playing against Payton and playing against Michael. Actually, playing against Payton helped me in college, because I ended up playing against guys like Bill Walton and McAdoo and people like that, because they were taller than me, because my coach at the time, Digger Phelps, felt that at Notre Dame I was probably the one person on the team that was probably tough enough to guard people like Bill Walton and McAdoo. We had other guys that were a lot taller than I was, and Michael talked about that too, but they weren't not nearly as assertive or aggressive as I was on the basketball floor.
And is that kind of how you see it too, Mike? The competitiveness. What was your vantage point of that?
Mine, I have to be honest with you, by me being the youngest, and I actually started school here in Hamilton, so I didn't have an issue of being held up. lucked out for me that by them holding them back a year, we was all in succession. So that made it really nice from the standpoint of the sports thing. But like Willie said, I came along and started playing basketball, started playing football like we had. Jefferson School is gone now, but if you recall, if you get a picture of it back in the days, the 60s through the 70s, you get a picture of it. The grass Willie's talking about was grass. The out of bounds was the sidewalk to one side. The out of bounds on the other side was the building.
Yes.
If you got tackled into the building, that was just part of the game. And we also had a big bush at both ends, and big, huge bush. And you could use the bush to go around it. If you got around on the other side and you were still open, they could throw you a pass. That's the kind of games we played, and we played every day, and it was tackle, and it wasn't like we say, it was very competitive. By having my brother out there was made it even more competitive. When it went to the other side of the school, it was basketball. So I had two brothers who I had to be very competitive against, and didn't nobody really know who I was other than I was Payton and Willie's younger brother. They didn't know my name. They just Payton's brother or you Willie's brother. And that carried on all the way to college, But I didn't mind that because they were my brothers and they was leaders in their school, both from the academic with Willie and the sports wise with Payton. Payton didn't you make I want to say all American honorable mention when you was in high school?
Yeah, I made All-American last game of the season.
When he was in high school. And that just blew my mind. I said, this little man from Hamilton, Ohio is All-American, and they found it here in Hamilton, Ohio. And I was just a sophomore then. So I had something to chase after. And it basically made me want to get better each and every year. My junior year, then my senior year, I wanted to do more than they did. They went to state. I was just a sophomore. They went to state, had a chance to win state. If it weren't for one referee being blind, we would have won state. But that was an interesting thing because the state game, the pregame to the final, we had tickets, and it had snowed somewhere, I guess, like maybe 9 or 10 inches. And the drive to Columbus, usually an hour and a half, right? It took 4 hours to drive to Columbus from here. And lucky my father was a chauffeur, so he knew how to drive through this stuff. So we drove and got there. And I remember the principal was Abe Hamilton. And my mother had called him and told him we needed tickets. But we didn't realize once we got there that we also needed a hotel room. So first game was played. It was against Lima. And Junior and Willie, they beat him. So now it's like 11 o'clock at night. 11 o'clock at night, they're in the locker room. And my mother goes to see Abe Hamilton again, the principal. And she goes to him and tells him, we need a room. We need a room to stay in, and we're not going to pay for it. And if you don't do that, we also need better seats because in the Ohio State Stadium, we were sitting in the rafters. We, the brother, the mother and father, and the sister of the two that's making you go to the finals. Told him all that, and she said, we need that room right away because it's 11 o'clock at night. The next game tomorrow's in the afternoon. And if you don't get us that room, guess what? I'm taking Payton, I'm taking Willie, putting them in the car, and we're going back to Hamilton. Wow. My mother said, I about fell out. I couldn't believe she did that, but she did. And we got the tickets, and we got the room. They didn't even know about that. That was kind of wild.
We didn't.
No, we
They
didn't
didn't
know.
know about it. But she was going to take Willie and Payton. and we was going to leave and go back to Hamilton. But unfortunately, the referee got in the way. We didn't win the state. We should have won the state had he missed the call. Payton was at the other end of the court when the foul was called, and he turned around. When he turned around, Payton just happened to be standing there, and he pointed at him. And that was his 5th foul. At that time, I knew we'd have won. We was playing some great teams.
Yeah.
Columbus East.
Well, yeah, I do want to.
Yeah, that was some of the.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to tell that story because I know those two didn't know anything about that.
Yeah, that's a great story, man.
Yeah.
Mom wasn't having anything.
No, she wasn't.
She wasn't.
She was not.
Well, I do want to take you to Garfield High School next, and I want to start with basketball, and just to run some numbers. Payton, you were a 2-time first-team All-League your junior and senior year, and the all-time leading scorer with 1,138 points. Willie, you were second all-time, 988 points. First team All-League as a senior. And Mike, you finished 20th overall, 498 points. And again, first team All-League as a senior. Payton, what did you feel your strengths were on the basketball court? And, maybe in this modern day, who did your game resemble?
I really had a good thing. I think Ron Sutton was I played with him for 2 years, 1 year for sure, and kind of followed him behind that because he taught me a lot of stuff what I wasn't doing I should have done, and he helped me a whole lot doing that part of my senior year, his senior year, and my junior year, and it kept on going, I just pick up a little bit more every year, or summertime I kind of double up for everything I didn't know, and my coach Sweeten, he kind of helped us, all three of us, to stay together and improve everything. And I kind of really honor him because he really stuck with us, and whatever my mother said, he did. But if she get mad, watch out, she gonna tell him off. And it kind of helps to help everybody going together, especially the brothers, to stay together, and we kind of look out to each other every game we were looking at playing. And after the game, we make sure all of us got home safely. Because that years like that was kind of rough for everybody, for black athletes, especially in high school and going to college. And when I got my senior year, I had 2 schools after me, and there was a school in Little Rock, Arkansas. I went down there. My dad drove down there and went down. I was gonna sleep in a dungeon. He said, "No, son, you're not gonna do that." So Coach Shipley, where I went to school at, southwestern Louisiana at the time, and he drove down there and he said, "Son, you like down here?" I said, "I don't know, Dad." And he said, "Well, if you don't like it, we're going back home." And so we went back home, and then Coach Shipley drove up there, and he sat down with my mother and dad and asked them could my son go to school down there? He said, "Yeah, he can go to school if he want to. If he don't want to, he ain't going." And I ended up going down there because he came to the house, he ate dinner with us and everything, and sit down and talk to me. That's the head coach, not the assistant coach. The head coach came and sit down and talk to him. He's not following, and coming down here to Louisiana. And everything else is a thing I always remember. My 2 brothers, Willie, always remember him because he always my dad called him a hard head. That's what he used to tell me, he's a hard head. You got watching. I said, "Dad, we all got a hard head." And we always gonna stick together. He said, "Son, that's the best way to be." And that's the most part of my years at Hamilton, at the Garfield. and I enjoyed every minute of it. The school was one of the greatest schools. I went to a high school, and they said Taft were the best, but we ended up being the best out of the years I was there. Had some good players on the team now. We had some good players on the team. We had some good guards. We had good forwards. And I always end up being the center. I didn't want to be the center, but I ended up being the center.
Yes, sir. And Willie, what was your game kind of like on the basketball floor? And also, what do you remember? What was your point of view of that tough runner-up finish to Columbus East in the championship game?
My game was more of defense. I love playing defense, and I think I might be first or second with the most rebounds. I think I'll rebound my brother there with the most rebounds for Garfield. And but I just love playing defense. I could learn to read things and read what was going on, and that became part of my aggressive part of the game. And I just loved it. I thought it was the way to get more points. You know, I don't mind running plays and setting it up, but you got to play defense to play the game. And as far as who I would compare myself to, I don't know, people that I think about today's game, and I think about. I love women. I love women's. I love watching women play basketball in college because I think they still have that skill, learning to play and they're playing the game the way when I was a young person I used to play. And I think the women of today in college are playing. A lot of them are playing that way, and they're running plays and they're getting the layups and they're getting the jump shots and they're getting that game going. And at Garfield, I love playing there. I just thought it was a great place to play. Crowds were great. We sometimes we go up to Miami University and play up there in their arena. It was just fun. And comparing, I don't know who I would compare myself to. Somebody that likes to play defense, I guess, in college or in high school. That's who I would compare myself to. I didn't, scoring points, okay, you can score points, but I wasn't a jump shooter. I later became one, but more of a defensive person. Even in college, Digger Phelps, who was Notre Dame's coach, he would say, you're going to have to guard this guy, who was usually the best player. And in high school, Coach Sweeten, Bobby Sweeten, who would say, hey, you're going to have to guard this guy. He scored 39 points last night or 2 weeks ago or a week ago. So you're going to have to hold him down. If you can hold him down to 30, we'll win. And so I had a goal and I knew what I needed to do, and that's how I played my game. I think that my ability to play the game in high school, basketball that is, in high school, helped me in general to be a stronger person on the football field when I got ready to play football. There was lots of things that translated over: footwork, hand-eye coordination, catching the ball. All those things kind of translated over into football. And at Garfield, it was a good starting place. I remember Lou Florio, the football coach, and those guys. They were no nonsense kind of coaches. They didn't. Bob Sweeten. I know my mother was involved with a lot of things, but Sweeten and Florio, they were kind of guys that would listen to you and they wanted to work with you and help you to become better players as well as better people. I just thought that Garfield was a great place to be. I mean, we had all this other stuff going on around Garfield, but I remember one time going back. I was married then. I took my wife back, and we were coming out of Hamilton, going back to Dayton because I moved to Dayton, living in Centerville. And I remember going by this one place. No, I wasn't in Centerville yet. I was still in in Michigan. I drove by the old fairgrounds.
Mm.
There was that's where the Ku Klux Klan was having a rally, and I remember they had their cone hats on and everything, and we drove by. We stopped at the traffic light right there by the fairgrounds.
Mm.
My wife had never seen the Klan, and so she looked over and she said, "Who are those guys that are dressed in Halloween outfits?" You know, I'm sitting there saying, "Okay, no, that's the Klan. That's the Ku Klux Klan. They're having a rally." I says, "We're not going to stop it. If you want to, we can stop it, but not because we're going to drive on." You know, so Hamilton, lots of fun things. Garfield, great things. You know, lots of guys, black and white, mixing together for a common goal, and we did a great job at it.
Yes, sir. And Mike, tell me about, being the youngest and kind of coming behind those two on the basketball floor after, what they have been doing. Talk about maybe like the pressure maybe that was on you. People expect you to perform at that level as well. And then take me in a little bit into, playing football at Garfield with Willie after that.
Okay. Appreciate the question there, Brandon. Yeah, it was very tough following my two older brothers. Special in that prior to the three of us, there was the Sutton brothers. And the Sutton brothers sort of like set the stage at Garfield. Ron and Gus. And they played with Payton. And then they left. When they left, that's when the three of us were following that. So the marker was already high with the Sutton brothers, and then came the Townsend family, and so therefore we had to follow it up. Peyton and Willie started setting the standard. They was winning districts. Willie was playing football. They was winning the GMC and stuff like that. And then when I got there, it was just expectation was, now we got three of y'all, we're going to win all kind of things and things of that nature. But it was wild in that playing basketball for Coach Sweeten and Peyton and Willie was varsity. I was on the sophomore team, got moved up during the week for the weekend to play on the JVs every now and then. But basically, my sport has always been and still is football. I played basketball because I got two brothers that were great. Simple as that. I played that because they played, so I played too. And found out I could run track, run high hurdles, do an open quarter, and things of that nature, broad jump, high jump as well with Willie. And Willie did one other thing, he pole vaulted. And so it was just something being around my brothers that made me go into all these various sports. Following up on that, we had to, just like my senior year, Willie had left. We had won the district in basketball. We were close to winning the GMC, I think, when I was a junior. And then, so you had to follow that kind of thing. And so it was that. And we went to the district. We ended up losing in the district against, I want to say, Derek Dickey. And he was at school it was. But lost to him, lost to his team. And the only reason he lost the team because my sidekick didn't want to play. He was mad at me for some reason or another. He didn't play as good as he wanted to play. And we ended up losing by 4 or 5 points. I forget what that was. But that was a lot of stuff growing up. And like I say, there was a lot of things going on around Garfield, like say with the Ku Klux Klan and things of that nature. But we was very aware of it. We knew that we had to stay together as brothers in order to get through all of this. We planned on doing that. And we knew if we kept winning, they would stay away from us because all of our schoolmates would keep them away from us. We knew that. And as long as we was winning, we was covered by them as well as our intelligence that our father had gave us and my mother had gave us. Mm-hmm. So it was something that was a learning feature. It prepared us for going farther on beyond Hamilton. I've been in rooms and schools with people from New York City, people from LA, people from Atlanta and stuff. And they didn't know any more than I did when it came to knowing what the world presented. And I say, I'm from a small town of Hamilton, but I got exposed to all these various things. And I was able to get them out of trouble or keep them out of trouble. And even though I only had a background of small town in Brundage in a small town of Hamilton. And it really has those kind of, as I call, events prepared as well for going on farther in life. And I never have turned down where I'm from. I've always told people I'm from Brundage, Alabama. And people say, well, where's that? I say, it's south of Montgomery. They know where Montgomery is. But Brundage, nah. I said, my father's from Troy. Where's Troy? I said, Troy is just a little bit east of Brundage. So, but that's the kind of thing we do. But that's the humbleness of my two brothers and myself. We realized that we were a special group, and being that a special group, special things was put upon us. And we have always, because of our mother and father, tried to lead in a way that allowed people like you to benefit from. So yeah, it was fun. We had a lot of fun. We did a lot of crazy things, like, run around and play baseball just about over Ford's Field back in the day during the summer. There was a kid that's down the street from us used to come get all three of us, and we'd go over and play a whole baseball game over at Forest Park back in the day. And all he had on his team was us three, his younger brother, and him, 5. And we would play for like hours. On and on. And we always won. We always won. And we would play half a field with the group. In other words, so if you was left-handed bat, we would be over in right field. If you were right-handed bat, you had center field and right. And left. So that's how we played you. And we usually beat anybody that came and played against us. But that was just pickup games.
Yeah. Tell me about Willie, kind of the football aspect at Garfield. We covered basketball, and like we talked about, you and Mike played football together. And, what was kind of the career like in high school, and maybe some of your fondest memories out there on the football field?
Well, let's start off with the fondest memory. Michael and I were talking at Notre Dame a couple weeks back, and the most fondest memory I remember having was us cheating to play. We signed each other a ticket to be able to play the game at Garfield. Our parents actually never knew we were playing football, and so we actually signed our own paperwork so we could play. I didn't play. I played 1 year at Roosevelt. I played my 9th grade year at Roosevelt, and I liked it. But I didn't play my 10th grade year at Garfield. I played my 11th and 12th grade year. I played for Lou Florio, and I loved it. I loved the game. Choosing between basketball and football, I think I was more built for football than basketball. I enjoyed playing it. I enjoyed the thrill of going out there and competing one-on-one. Even though you're a team, you're competing one-on-one against the person across from you. How are you going to handle this person? Because the variations of different people you have to play against. I enjoyed it. I got to play some defense a couple of times. I got to play against Lou Florio's son once. He played for Fairfield. And I remember one time I caught a pass coming across the middle, and Florio's son, he was a little guy, he tried to tackle me, and I hit him. He hit my kneecap, and I knocked him out. He went cold. And you know, those are the fun things you have. You know, you enjoy. You know, the different set of camaraderie and different set of people that, well, another additional set of people, because a lot of the guys that played basketball also played football. You know, if they could. And so, you know, you got more people on the field and more people you're having camaraderie with. But Garfield did good. I mean, we sent quite a few people to big schools. Um, we had sent people off to Purdue, and we sent people to University of Michigan. Clint Spearman went to University of Michigan. You know, um, and we had other people that went to other schools. A lot of schools, believe it or not, quite a few schools, colleges looked at Garfield as a source of players. And I remember going and talking to, in my senior year, Clint Spearman and I went and talked to Woody Hayes. You know, Woody came down from Columbus, and we sat in a restaurant not too far from Garfield for lunch, and we had lunch with Woody Hayes. You know, I remember talking to University of Michigan coach Bo Schembechler. Talked to Bo Schembechler. You know, I didn't choose those schools to go to. I chose going to Notre Dame. It was much smaller. Era never promised anything. Era Parseghian never promised anything. He just said, "Hey, you know, you come here, get a chance to play, and you get a great education." You know, those are the things that you can't take away from. You know, I taught for a while before I moved to Charlotte, and I tell people, you know, I tell kids that were in my class, this is one thing that nobody can ever take away from you. It's what you understand and what you learn. I says they can take everything. They can take your money away. They can take your house away, but they cannot never take away the knowledge that you have gained in life. And you know, that's the kind of things that I learned when I was playing the game. You know, and playing for, I started that time with Lou Florio, and I went up through playing for Era Parseghian. You know, it's just a part of life. It's a part of the growth part of your life. You got to learn. You got to gain something from everything that you do. If you're not going to gain anything, don't do it. You know, don't do it, because you're wasting your time. And I watch some TV shows with my wife and my daughter sometimes, and I kid them. I look at something and I watch it for about half hour, and there's something they like, and I says, you know, I can't get that half hour. You know, it's not possible. And they understand what I'm saying, because, you know, I really lost that time. I mean, you know, I could have been doing something else.
Right.
It helped me to grow, and football helped me to grow along with basketball. And Garfield started it, and then it kept going on through college.
And Mike, what was that growth like for you playing at Garfield football? Again, just being the younger brother, and also coming into, you know, your own game with that kind of being your strong sport that you really thrived in.
It was tough, to be honest with you, knowing that Brother Willie was doing so well his junior and senior year, and playing with such greats that came through Garfield, and Alex Davis, Turner Walker, all those guys and stuff. And used to when I was playing, it was like my brother said, the permission slip. We used to sign our own permission slips and turn them in. And so my parents, we just told them that we was doing extracurricular activities at the school. So when I was in junior high, we would come over and watch Garfield play on Friday nights and stuff. And it was just fun watching that. It's the sport I love, which is football. And it was something. So as I left junior high and moved on to high school, that's basically when they first found out that we were playing extracurricular activities, better known as basketball and football. And I remember one time that it was a sport. I was my sophomore year, my grandmother was in town, and she had never been to a football game. She's from Brunswick, Alabama. She had never seen anybody actually play the game, never watched it on TV and stuff. So we took her to a game, and I remember Willie was coming over the middle, and he caught the ball. And he got tackled by the linebacker and the safety. And my grandmother stood up and told my mother to go out on the field and get those boys off of her son. And it's the most hilarious thing. I'm like, Grandma, what are you talking about? But it was that kind of growth that our family was, from my standpoint of the Suttons setting the standard and then the Townsend coming behind them, that our mom and dad wanted to make sure that not only did we go to school and do well at school, because they pushed grades. They pushed grades on us. He said, in the long run, you'd be better off in the long run with getting good grades. And playing sports was a way that we could have fun while we were getting good grades. And so following my two brothers, it was fun. It was really enjoyable because most of the conversation was about them. And I had to do something special in order to get some conversation about me. So it was tough. All my friends knew Payton. All my friends knew Willie. So it was tough for me trying to, outdo them on the football field, the basketball court, running track. It didn't matter. But it was great fun being the younger brother of these two. Really enjoyed that. It's special, and I still enjoy it to this very day. That's why I put us together, because we have never done a conversation like this to talk about what we did when we grew up. And it's a blessing that you came along right then and now, because I've been wanting this, but I didn't know how to get it. But you came along first. But yeah, it's nice to talk about my brothers. It's fun. I enjoy it. Proud of them. And I want to say it today. I'm proud of both of them. And yeah, we did great things, but we also was taught that, hey, get your grades. Make sure you're capable of going beyond playing your sport. Your sport will not get you to the end. At some point in time, you got to give it up, got to retire. So if you got the grades, which will get you that degree, which will take you even farther. And we all have really done very well. And to this very day, we're all retired now. I wonder if my brother Payton is retired, because every time I turn around, he sounds like he's working again. It's something that I call him up and he said, "Oh, I was out there working on the oil well." I'm like, "I thought you was retired 2 years ago." It's him and stuff, but we stay in touch, and it's just a blessing that all three of us are still alive and doing well today. So I appreciate this conversation.
Hey, Michael and Payton, hey, I appreciate this. Is like Michael said, this is the first time the three of us have actually even talked in this kind of environment. This was just wonderful. I mean, we've been together at a long time ago, but recently this is best.
There's one of the things, I think one of the family's best thing that happened to me is seeing all three of us together at the same time. There's always one or two, but never three. So we always keep in contact with each other. That's a good thing about it. And I think all three of our families all stick together. I think Mom and Dad really love that.
Mm-hmm. So, thanks, Brandon.
Yeah, yes, sir.